My name is Alan Armstrong, and I am a person with a learning disability. I am not an inclusive researcher.
My name is Anne Collis. I'm a Barod worker and a PhD student.
Barod was started in 2013 around people who wanted to be in work and couldn't get any work going to the job centre. So we started up our own business where there was 20 of us around the table and there being only 4 of us. We do Easy Read, which is accessible information everyday language. We do training and workshops where we train local authority, and we've done training first and second year students, social workers at Bangor University. Now we do research. Research where we've done time banking website, and now we're doing we done a drill project on research on which is very about to be launched called the toolkit. Why I do research, the reason why to get it done, make it accessible inclusion to everyone that can understand it. I am supervisor for Anne, who is doing a PhD at Bangor University, so that what she is, what she data she gets information can help Barod. Why Anne does research is to change the world, to change people's lives, to make an impact, get the right information accessible and prove it, Barod to prove it, the evidence.
My main role within Barod is to pick up sociological ideas and bring them back to the rest of Barod. Then we compare them with how we see the world and see what we come up with. So we started with a practical problem that the term researching together might sound like good easy read, but it isn't, because it could be used for too many ways of researching together. That started us thinking what to add to the words researching together to make it clear what sort of researching together we're talking about. To make sense of where that thinking ended up, I need to explain the concept of translanguaging, which my sadly ex-PhD supervisor, Dr. Sarah Louise Wheeler, introduced to me. Translanguaging is the idea that bilingual people think differently in their different languages, and that's because language is about culture and how you see the world, as well as words. So rather than literally translate, which loses the meaning, good Welsh translators use translanguaging to give a dynamic translation that conveys the meaning and not just the words. In Barod, we now treat academic English as one language and easy read English as a separate language. So rather than translate words literally, we try to get our heads around the different ways of seeing the world that go with the two languages, and then try to translanguage between them. All this really made us aware of the way we have different maps of the world in our heads and how profoundly that affects how we think, use language, and make meanings. It's a small leap to think from translanguaging to thinking of the academic world and the activist world as inhabiting two different social spaces, or at least it's a small leap once you've been introduced to Lefebvre's work on social spaces, as I was by one of my other ex-PhD supervisors, Dr. Roger Slack. I wouldn't claim to have really understood this work, so I hope Lefebvre wouldn't be horrified by what we've done. But what I think he says really helped us visualise different ways of working together and researching together in terms of ways of inhabiting and moving between different social spaces. But that's all far too nebulous for Barod. So here's a quick summary of what Barod turned this into. my space and your space. For most of us here, my space is the academic research space. But for us in Barod, my space is the activist research space. We like to stake our mark and say that valid research takes place in both spaces, that research is not synonymous with academic research, and that academic research can have as much value as activist research. So back to the spaces. Basically, you know when you're in your own space. It's not just about the environment, it's about how you feel, it's about what you understand, it's a whole cultural thing. And we're all painfully aware of times that we felt that we're in somebody else's space because we really don't feel that we're belonging in it. The way that we see it is that the academic research space is defined by a status that's linked to a PhD and published papers, but it's usually within a university and usually with a career structure. Although we know that there are independent academics, they seem to float between the academic research space and other spaces. The activist research space we would define as a status that's linked to your ability to use your voice effectively, and that it's usually located within a grassroots community association or organisation. So this slide is our perspective on different ways of researching together, drawn from personal experience and from looking in on different ways that people first groups and academics have researched together, and then we've made it concrete by framing it in terms of social spaces. So we have our academic space and our activist space. We would suggest that one model is for academics to move out of their space into the activist space. So the research is owned and located in the activist space. And this we would call emancipatory research. What we also see quite often with people first organisations is that the research is located within the academic space and the activists move over into the academic space. And for us, that's what we have see as inclusive research. What we're looking for in Barod is a way for people to come out of the academic space and out of the activist space to create some kind of new shared space, and the term that we use for that is co-produced research. We are deeply indebted to Dr. Jan Walmsley and to Professor Mel Nind for their part in our journey as Barod. They are the Jan and Mel that Alan will refer to. But before I hand over to Alan, I want to show you a slide that explains the codes that you'll see on his slides. As we've been thinking about different meanings of researching together, two key things were power, the amount of power that academics and activists may have or feel that they have, and the space in which something's used. So you'll see these coming up on the side of Alan's slides. Now over to Alan.
Barod wanted to do a new project research where everyday lives go pear-shaped. Anne was up in Bangor University doing a master's degree. We wanted it to be important so that the research got done where lives of people went wrong when they were out of the system of social services. Then we wanted to do it so that it was important to us, and we put it forward as Anne wanted to did the write-up on the words to put in the paper to Bangor University. We went in front of the board, and they told us we wouldn't be able to fund it. So I felt frustrated. So I felt like kicking a wall. and we wanted to do it better next time. Anne asked me, wrote me in to go along to a presentation of research, which was a day on a conference where the research, but I felt frustrated still, but I thought, okay, I go ahead with it because it was a nice hotel and free breakfast where I first met Jan. I didn't understand what they were on about. I felt like out of place. Anne asked me to go along to Oxford University, where we were invited to do a speech. Anne wrote up the words. We spoke in front of people, but I didn't do much of the talking, Anne did. So afterwards, I went for lunch and I stood back and talked to the people. And I told them, did you know Jan? And they said, I know Jan. So we had something in common and we could get along and felt more comfortable at ease. Barod wanted to do a time banking website. We headhunted Mel and she looked for the money and got the money. She got a team in. I felt more involved in the research and felt better at it. And we got ourselves in the paper, and we wanted it to be more better and to get out there. Well, this time we felt more together at the same level. At Joe had an idea, went to Barod. Barod went to Jan. We got the funding from Drill, the money, and we co-produced together the work to get the toolkit. It's about research in what is self-advocacy about in England. Jan came up with the idea. I was headhunted so that we could do the work together again. Why Jan headhunted me was because I have the skill and the knowledge to help her in the information. We did a training day where we did a training day in Cardiff where me, Alan and Jan did training on questions on ourselves, see how we got the questions right, and we changed the questions for the people, for the answers. We didn't get it right first day, but we went to My Life, My Choice to do a demonstration of a focus group so that we could get the questions right. I felt more in control of knowing the questions and asking the right questions to people because I could meet them where they're at. We met up together. We worked on the data analysis so that we could go over the videos and the words that people said, the information, so that we could get the data correct to make the toolkit. We wrote the paper together to get the report done so that the analysis for the paper to be put out. What made it co-production was that we all had our different skills. John had a academic. I had my skills of what is self-advocacy, and Brian with his academic, and Simon with his photography and his questions and filming. Okay, we went to Lancaster to do the talk, and I felt more in control because I was doing more talking and less of Anne. And Anne was, it was when we went to Oxford, Anne was more in control at the front, and I felt more less at the back. But now I feel more at the front and more in control of the day.
Okay.
I don't want to be in an academic space. I don't want academics coming in my workspace. I want to be in a new shared space where we are co-workers in research, new research. Thank you for listening. If you want to talk to us about anything, about any more questions or anything more of this information, you can contact us by emailing us at alan@barod.org or ann@barod.org. And thank you and goodbye.